Hey guys, it's Gamer Wingy here, and welcome back to Let's Play Archero. Now that is a weird statement to say, because it's been a very long time since I did the first episode of this. But I did promise that Archero was coming back, and indeed it is. So in the first one of these, I showed you how to complete the Verdant Prairie, the very first chapter. And in this one, I'm going to be showing you the Storm Desert. So, just to make it clear, I'm using the basic Archero with no level up, with simple level 1. I'm using the level 1 Brave Bow. I'm using the dodging vest just to help me dodge. I've got rings that damage airborne units and range units. I've got a laser bat. I've got a scythe mage. My bracelet I'm using is the freezing one, and then I've got the angel locket, which gives 22% chance to revive when dying. Which is really, really nice. Of course, it's going to probably be a lot easier for me still because I have a lot of talents. But, nonetheless, I'm going to show you how to do this. So here we go. The Storm Desert. Let's go with multi-shot. I'm also going to try and remember what upgrades that you guys wouldn't be able to get at Chapter 2, and just pick the ones that I get then. It's been a long time since I've played this, but I'm going to try and explain all the enemy types as we go. Yes, it's quite easy for me. So these ones, what they will do is they will go, I'm showing you now, they will go underground and hide. And then they will come up and they will fire off 3 shots like this. And then they'll go back underground again. I'm just showing you there. They're quite easy to kill. It's just that they can be a bit annoying when they go underground, and their attacks can penetrate through obstacles. They'll go over obstacles. Now, the spiders, these will follow you if you get close to them, but otherwise they'll just run around. Like you see, they sometimes come and follow me. They can be a little annoying, but only when there are other enemies. So I'm going to go with side arrows. Maybe we can get a bouncing strategy going. So here we go, we've got 2 of these. And my bracelets, in case you've wondered why they're freezing at the start, that is my bracelet, I think. I've got the frozen bracelet on. So you see here, they pop up and you have to wait before they come back again. However, if you can do, for example, freezing them does tend to work quite well. If I get a freezing power, I will show you. Now these ones, you'll see what they do now. What they do is the line appears and then they will fire off like a whirlwindy type attack. This is probably the easiest one to avoid for me. And I'm going to go front arrows because in terms of upgrades, multi-shot and front arrows are actually the best ones to have in the game. So I got really lucky to get this first off. Attack boost minor. So here we start to get a little bit more variety. But with all of our upgrades on, we should be fine. And we get a bearing as well. That's always nice. These ones are the whirlwind ones. These are possibly one of the most annoying ones in the chapter 2. Not annoying, one of the hardest. Because they shoot out a whirlwind like this, that if you've not practiced avoiding it, it can be quite difficult. It kind of, well, I mean, I guess it acts like a whirlwind. You see there, I got hit, but it missed. That's because my dodge rate is so high. So you see there, they kind of, like, they do an interesting movement, the whirlwinds. That can be hard to do. Here we are, so freezing. I'll try and show you what the freezing does to some of them. I mean, freezing as a general rule, I would say, is the best elemental effect because it stops a lot of enemy attacks. Let's go. Right, so I'm going to kind of show you how to do this one. I tend to stand right here. If you stand right here, you'll very rarely get hit by attacks. It will happen, but extremely rarely. So you see here, they always miss and hit the wall instead. Now that's something I need to mention. A lot of you might not realise this, but obviously only the devil can offer front arrow and multi-shot again. So you can get 2 of the front arrow multi-shot upgrades, but one of them has to come from the devil. Once you get front arrow multi-shot in the ability thing for levelling up, you'll only be able to get it in the devil. What you actually want to do is not get them from the devil, because if you have 2 multi-shot upgrades or 2 front arrows, it actually lowers your attack power. Because what happens with them is that they end up dealing less damage with more of them. Does that make sense? I'll just leave it. Just play however you feel comfortable. But for quite a while, I would pick up the extra multi-shots and front arrows until I realised that they do less damage. When you pick these upgrades up, your arrows overall deal less damage, which actually works out worse for some reason. Now these ones, you'll see these ones, they come towards you, they hesitate a moment, and then they'll dash at you. They can be annoying, but if you can time it right, you can get out of the way. These volcanoes, well, you can see what they do. They don't directly attack you, they just shoot out projectiles to random squares on the board. We'll go for HP boost. Now, at the time of this recording, we're actually supposed to be getting an update very, very shortly, so I might have to do a video detailing that for you. We're getting an endless mode and a co-op mode, which sound really interesting, and I've seen previews. They look really interesting. Now, if I can kill these guys, you know, I think this is actually this is the right difficulty for this, based on my upgrades and things. I'll show you. You freeze him. That stopped him doing his attacks for a moment, which actually let me kill them. So let's keep going. We'll have a crit master. The dragons. These are the most annoying ones in the entire thing. Because they wait a moment, and then they'll fire a flame that actually has a really long distance. Will go through obstacles, and does a heavy amount of damage. I'm actually going to take the damage for you here. So to me, that's dealing 300. But that's with all of my armour and things on. They deal a lot of damage. So they are really, really painful. And later on, these will become a massive issue. Because when you've got other enemies you're trying to avoid, when you've got these on your back, they can be really hard. And they actually have quite a lot of health. You can see that when they sort of stop before they shoot their flames, though, so you can get out of the way. Now I'm going to go for another side arrows. So I've got a lot of side arrows. Now multi-shot actually does affect all of your arrows, so all of your arrows will shoot twice. So I'm now shooting 2 arrows at the front, twice. And then I'm shooting 2 arrows on either side, twice. So I've got a lot of arrows coming out here. In fact, I can try and position myself so that I may deal damage on the sides. For example, like this. So this boss. I didn't really explain what the other boss was. I can't remember. I should be doing it though. Oh yeah, no, I did. This is the spider. It works like the spiders you've already seen, the blue ones, except it shoots out projectiles every so often. And when you kill it, it'll split into 2 smaller spiders. And when you kill each of these spiders, they'll split into 2 of the smallest spiders. You're better off targeting one of them first if you can, because if you end up with a lot of small ones, that can cause you a lot of problems. So see how I've done here? I've dealt with each side separately, which then actually makes this boss quite easy. But it can be a threat if you have them all on you at once. So just bear it in mind. But otherwise, that boss is quite easy. Oh, we've got an attack boost from the wheel. Now that's nice. Little attack boost. Not that we need it, really. The bombs. In Verdant Prairie, in the first chapter, you'll have met the white bombs. These ones are red, and as you can see, they leave a damaging flame effect. Which actually, again, it deals a lot of damage. Some of the enemies in this chapter can do a lot of damage, and it's usually the fire ones. But those shoot slowly, so you should be alright. Ooh, Bounty Wall. Bounty Wall combo is one of the most well-known, possibly best combos in the game. What you do is Bounty Wall makes all of your arrows rebound off of walls. So if you then get that, and you get loads of extra arrow upgrades, like I've got front arrow, 2 side arrows, you get a lot of arrows bouncing around. You can see how many arrows are going around like this. I mean, look at this. They're everywhere. And that can actually be a really good combo. Now, this is actually the first time in quite a long time I've actually managed to pull this off. It really is the first time I've pulled this off in quite a while, but it's worked out really well for this showcase. Just so you know, there's no cuts in this at all. This is my first time I've done this. First time I've tried to record this chapter for you. Actually, the first time I've played this chapter in a long time. But you face these enemies later on as well, so you remember how to do it after a while. But it's been a long time since I played this chapter. The first 2, it might seem like it takes a while, but you will actually complete the chapters really quickly compared to how it goes later on. Later on, it can take months. Like I was stuck on the same chapter 6, for months until the other week. last week when I actually managed to pass it. Only to find that the next one is actually a lot harder. The difficulty doesn't always increase with the chapters. Some of them you'll find are a lot easier. However, chapter 3, that's not the case. Chapter 3 is quite difficult because it's a different kind of chapter. When we get to it, I'll show you, which actually hopefully should be fairly soon because I am trying to do more of these videos. But it's hard. We'll get ice circles. So what happens if you go up to, if the ice orbs hit the enemies, it will freeze them. Can be more effective against some enemy types. It's not really very effective against the dragons, but against like the bombs, they can be frozen for a while. So I don't think, off the top of my head, I can't remember any new enemy types, but there might be some, and if there are, I will point them out to you. It's kind of just combinations of the various combinations of the ones we've already faced. Basically, against, I mean, like all ranged enemies, I'd say keep your distance. But against the living bomb, against the bomb enemies and the dragons, that's even more important in this chapter. Because they can be the death of you really quickly. Now this boss. This one is annoying. You'll see what he does. I'll show you what he does. So he'll shoot out, he's got 2 fireballs. If he shoots out those, he'll shoot out 2 and they'll leave a damaging flame effect. He can shoot a random burst like this. He can shoot 4 slow projectiles, or see if he does it. He can shoot 3 faster ones like that. When he launches the fireballs, you have time to get a couple of shots and then move. Like, for example, you'll notice that I've got the ice thing, which can really mess... The ice abilities can really mess this boss up. Like, it only made it shoot 1 fireball out. Another thing you can do is if you actually stand on top of it, this boss actually has no collision damage. And if you're right on top of it, it's very rare that you will take damage. I think only the random spray, the random ones, do any damage to you. But no, even they don't do any damage. This is a very rare instance where something doesn't have collision damage. Usually they do. So what you can actually do is just stand on top of him and shoot him like that. But just be careful of the projectiles. If you practice it, you'll learn to dodge them. Okay, Obsidian Circle. This is actually one of the newer abilities. What this does is if you hit an enemy with it, they'll get like a glow. I'll show you. So this guy has now got it. They have like a glowing effect. I don't know if they do take any damage over time. No, they don't take damage immediately. After about a second or 2 seconds, I think it's about 2 seconds, the enemies with the obsidian thing will they'll give like a little explosion off, and that can damage enemies around you. It's actually called. It's the obsidian circle inflicts the dark touch on enemies. It's just it doesn't call it dark touch. But you can get this on arrow effects as well. I think for the minute though, you can only have it as circles and as orbs and arrow effects. You can't have it on spirit abilities. You can't have it on swords, anything like that. Shield guard is a very, very good one. Now, as you would this causes shields to orbit you and can defend against certain projectiles. For example, the red ones. Don't think it stops bombs, so be careful of that, and it will not stop the dragon flames either. But it will actually stop most of the boss projectiles as well, which really is a nice bonus. Now, you'll see here I'm taking a lot of damage, and I've got loads of talents on. But at your point, I can't remember when you unlock equipment. I think it is in Chapter 2, or it might be Chapter 3. Once you actually unlock the equipment, it really does help. And once you unlock the new heroes, I think you unlock your first hero after the first chapter. But I'm choosing to use the basic one just to show you guys in the most basic way possible. So obviously you can make it easier for yourself. I'm just trying to make it harder for myself. This is actually getting really tough now. With my equipment, this is getting really tough. I'm using level 1s of everything. I'm kind of just staying in one place a lot of the time, moving when there are, either when something gets in the way, or just to avoid the projectiles. But otherwise, I tend to stay in the same place, really. Obviously, when you've got things like the spiders in here, you really don't have a choice. The spiders are the only enemy that will actively chase you. They're the only melee enemy, actually. And I've got to be really careful now, because a good hit will kill me. Good hit from the dragons will kill me. But if you stay out of the way of the dragons, they actually only have a certain range that their breath covers, as you can see there. It's actually really tough. Oh no, this actually is getting tough. See, they'll come at you in a lot of different combinations of enemies, and depending on the combination, it can actually be really tough. And of course, you have to watch out for the bombs. They don't shoot very often, but when they do, you'll suffer for it. And the volcanoes aren't usually annoying, but they can get in the way a little bit when you're trying to deal with other enemies. It's just random the way the places that they shoot, and you have plenty of time to react to it. You'll see here a lot of the enemies are dealing 300 damage. With armor you can reduce that, and with talents you can reduce that as well. Level up! So we're going to go for Bolt Circle. I really like my circle upgrades in this chapter. This one is, I would possibly argue, the easiest one, because they don't follow you, they simply rebound off the walls. Like the spider, except there's two of them, when you kill them for the first time, it will split into two small enemies. So then that one's just split again into the two small ones. Then you kill the medium ones, they split into two small ones. And then when you kill the small ones, they split into two tiny ones. So they split, so each of them, so they split 3 times. They split the big one splits into 2 medium ones. Each medium one splits into 2 small ones, and each small one splits into 2 very small ones. Now, as I'm kinda, unlike the spider one, I wouldn't say you have to take out the biggest one first. That does help, but they actually don't deal much damage at all. They're only dealing, like, 65 damage to me. 65 damage. Compared to the projectile enemies that you've had already, that have been dealing 300, this is actually a really easy boss. Now, I will mention that the bosses on waves on 10, 20, 30 and 40 are completely random. It's the same 4 bosses every time, but they'll appear in a random order. The wave 51 at the end of chapter boss is always, in every single chapter, it's always preset, and I'll show you guys what it is when we get there. You're just going to be patient with this one. It can take a while, and because of the speed at which they move, some of your projectiles might miss, hence why I quite like the orb abilities here. Please note as well, the shield guard only defends you against projectiles. It will not stop melee monsters like these from hitting you. And there we go, we got it. So the lucky wheel is going to give us healing, which actually I don't think we need. Oh no, it's going to give us this one. Bit of coinage and some XP. So we're actually nearly at max level here, which is level 11, I think. So here you're seeing a lot of different enemies. Well, not a lot of different enemies. A lot of these types of enemies you've already faced, but they're getting stronger. And I mean, there seem to be a lot more dragons, which when I played this chapter through the first time, well, like the first few times before I beat it, I found the dragons to be the most dangerous of the enemies. I found them to really, really mess me up a lot of times, because you had to be so careful about avoiding them. I'm going to attack speed boost. So we are now max level, so we're not getting anything else. So you can see we get plenty, because, I mean, we're on 41, so you do have ample time to level it up to max. In most of the chapters, well, in most of these chapters that have got 50 levels in, you will get to max level, which is quite nice. Don't think there's any talents that increase the amount of XP you get. You can get the smart ability in this game, which actually recently got fixed. Before, it never actually, until now, it's never actually given the bonus XP that it's supposed to give. But it does now. It's just that I still don't see the point in using it in these 50 level chapters, because you will reach max level. You will, so I don't see the point. So I'm using the orbs to my advantage here, because those can deal quite a bit of damage when you've got 6 of them floating around. You can have 3 different types of orb in each run. They range, there's about 5 different types, I think. And of course you can have shield guards as well. What you don't want to do is, as I've just gone there, get trapped in a corner, because I only just managed to get away from those from the dragons. The lizards, dragons, same thing. If you can kind of manage to get close, that's good, but you do have to be careful with those. You have to be really careful. Now this isn't actually a bad chapter, because they're all melee enemies. So as long as you can quite easily keep your distance from the snakes, and you can move quick. You can see when they're going to attack and move out of the way. So sometimes it might actually lag the game out as well with the number of them that there are. If you do find it's lagging, what you can actually do is they've added a setting recently that lets you show how many the coins collected. So you can either have all of them showing, hide 50% of them, or hide 99% of them. I tend to keep it on 50%. But it depends on what kind of device you're running on. So if you're running on a slower device, you can reduce those. You still get all the coins, it just doesn't show them all. So here we have 2 more of the dragons. So I'm just sitting right here and dealing with them from afar. And I'm only moving up when I have to. And this is just to make it easier to kill them. And then we are on to the final boss. Now I can't remember what this one is. Get my health back up. This one is quite tough at the first when you face this. And because you're not getting... You might not get to stage 50 very often. So you might struggle. But I'm going to show you its attacks. It has this one where it'll shoot them out in random directions. You just have to watch and avoid them. Or you can use shield guards to block. There'll be jumping attack, which is, in my opinion, the worst one, because he also shoots out these whirlwinds when he does it. Now, yeah, if you position right, you can use the shield guards to block them. He's actually using this a lot for me. He's not doing any of He's not doing his other attack. Like this one. You've seen the normal versions of these do that attack where they that little red line shows and they do it. He does 3 of them. And there you go. There you go. If you don't notice it in time, he doesn't give any warning that he's about to jump. If you just keep being patient, moving around, make sure you keep moving, you'll do it. So there you guys have it. Chapter clear. So on this one, I got a few different things. I got a ring as well. Did I get that ring? Did that allow me to fuse? No. So that's what I got this time. This is what I used, and that was the Storm Desert. Next time we will be doing the Abandoned Dungeon, which actually only has 20 levels, but it's a lot harder, and I'll show you next time. But I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Drop a like if you enjoyed this, and be sure to subscribe if you have not. Ring the little notification bell so that you know when all of my videos come out. And take care, everyone, and until next time, I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.